For nearly 3 decades, there was one week every year where the entire gaming world stopped and paid attention. One stage, one spotlight, and a constant stream of announcements that could make or break the future of the industry. This was the Electronic Entertainment Expo, E3. And it wasn't just a trade show, it was an arena where giants competed, fans held their breath, and unforgettable moments were born. From explosive console reveals to awkward live demos, industry-shaking announcements to memes that just never died, E3 had it all. Starting in May of 1995 at the Los Angeles Convention Center, E3 was created to separate games from the Consumer Electronics Show as the video game industry was exploding and needed its own, more targeted showcase. In the very first year, more than 50,000 people showed up. The message was clear. This wasn't just another event. This was the event. But just as quickly as it rose to dominate the gaming culture, it vanished. So if E3 was that big, that influential, what happened? There's several factors that played into the death of E3, which I'll cover, but I'm more here primarily to talk about why E3 was just so special. Every year, E3 wasn't just an event, it was a marathon. Hours-long coverage packed with reveals, trailers, and moments you just had to see as they happened. I still remember the first time I ever heard of it. Sitting at the lunch table, a friend started talking about this thing called E3, and I was hooked instantly. Up until then, my gaming news came primarily from flipping through Game Informer, Nintendo Power, and maybe catching the occasional upload on a still pretty rough version of YouTube. But E3? This was different. This felt huge. Every summer after that became a ritual. My friend and I would order pizza, set up in the living room, windows open, and just watch for hours. Trailer after trailer, gameplay reveals, big announcements. We even made bets. Would this be the year that we finally saw a sequel for one of our favorite game series? And somehow, year after year, I was convinced this was going to finally be the year where we see Kingdom Hearts 3. Of course, that didn't happen, and I had to wait almost a decade more. One of the first reveals I remember being completely obsessed with was Assassin's Creed 2. At the time, the original was my favorite game, and this was the peak parkour era. Internet free-running videos were everywhere, so seeing a character who could scale across buildings, leap across rooftops, move like that, it hit perfectly. Every new trailer felt like something I couldn't miss. And then there were the presentations themselves. The big three, Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, would take the stage with these long, sometimes painfully corporate showcases. You get charts, sales numbers, projections, things like that. Let's be honest, nobody really cared about that. But even those had their moments. Because that's the thing about E3. The magic wasn't just in the big reveals. It was in the awkward pauses, the unscripted slip-ups, the moments that went completely off the rails. The kind of stuff that would instantly turn into memes and live on way longer than any sales chart ever could. That chaos, that unpredictability, that was E3. For every legendary announcement, there was something awkward, something chaotic, something you just couldn't look away from. Like in 2006 when Sony took to the stage to show off the PlayStation 3 and somehow gave us...
And I'll give you an example of that. First. So here's this giant enemy crab. What I'll do is use Benkei here to flip over this crab on its back, hop on its stomach, and you attack its weak point for massive damage.
This was supposed to be a serious demo, and instantly became a meme that followed E3 for years. Or Nintendo in 2008, leading hard into the Wii's casual audience, only to roll out Wii Music in a presentation that felt more confusing than exciting. It was one of those moments where you could almost feel the audience collectively asking, wait, what the fuck is this? And then there's 2010, right in the middle of Microsoft's Kinect push. A live demo brought out a kid actor named Milo, a fully scripted, awkwardly interactive AI moment that just didn't land the way it was supposed to.
So listen, I was thinking today you should let me beat you at football again. That is if you finished your homework. You have finished your school project.
What happened there is that Claire knew Milo so well, she knew when he was worried about something.
It felt less like the future and more like something had gone very, very wrong. But maybe the most iconic kind of E3 moment was when things just straight up broke. Live demos crashed.
We will start over.
Controllers didn't work. Presenters trying in real time to recover while thousands watched in silence in the audience and millions more watched online. You could feel the tension through the screen. And yet, that was the magic of E3. Because E3 wasn't polished the way that modern showcases are. It was live, unpredictable, sometimes messy, oftentimes messy. And when something weird or hilarious happened, it didn't just disappear. It became part of gaming culture. Clipped, shared, memed, and remembered long after actual announcements faded. That chaos, that secondhand embarrassment, those completely unscripted moments, that was E3 at its most human and honestly at its most unforgettable. But E3 wasn't just chaos, memes, and things going wrong. At its peak, it was pure magic. Because when E3 hit, when everything lined up, you got moments that genuinely felt historic. The kind of reveals where the crowd didn't just clap, they erupted. Moments that reminded you exactly why you loved games in the first place. Take 2004. Nintendo walks out and reveals The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. And the second that trailer starts, the room explodes. It wasn't just applause, it was roars. People standing, shouting, losing their minds. It wasn't just a new game. It was a return to the darker, more realistic Zelda fans had been begging for. That reaction, it's still one of the loudest in E3 history. Then there's 2015, arguably one of the greatest E3s ever. Sony takes to the stage and within minutes drops The Last Guardian, a game people thought was basically gone forever. The crowd is already stunned, and then it happens. For those keen-eyed viewers, those green strands of light weren't just strands of light. And then a Buster Sword almost as big as the reaction. Final Fantasy VII Remake. The room and internet spontaneously combust.
A little bit of excitement. We're proud to announce that Final Fantasy VII Remake is coming first to PlayStation 4.
Years, decades even, of waiting. And suddenly it was real. And somehow they weren't even done. Because later that night, Shenmue 3 dropped. Another impossible return. Another moment that felt like it shouldn't be happening, but somehow was. That's what E3 did better than anything else. It made the impossible feel real. And then there's 2016. Nintendo, quietly and confidently, puts everything behind one game. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. No flashy stage gimmicks, no over-the-top presentation, just gameplay. And it didn't need anything else. People watched as this massive, open world unfolded before them. You could feel it instantly. This wasn't just another Zelda game. This was something different, something bigger. Fast forward to 2018. One trailer, a slow pan, a neon-lit city, a voice in the background. Cyberpunk 2077. The doors open and out walks Keanu Reeves. And just like that, you had one of the most electric moments E3 had ever seen. A perfect collision of hype, surprise, and pure crowd energy. But maybe the most powerful moments were the ones that nobody saw coming. A quiet reveal that suddenly clicks, a logo fades in, and the crowd realizes what they're looking at before it's even fully shown. Those split seconds where recognition hits, that's E3. Because no other event could build that kind of anticipation and deliver on it in real time with thousands of fans reacting all at once. It wasn't just about announcements. It was about shared moments. Millions of people watching together, reacting together, losing their minds at the exact same time. And for a few days every year, that's what gaming felt like. Not fragmented, not scattered across streams and state of plays and Nintendo Directs. It was all in one place, all at once, waiting for that next unforgettable reveal. And if you were there for it, or even just watching from home, you knew that feeling didn't stop when the show ended. Because E3 wasn't just the announcements, it was the aftermath. The game reservations, the breakdown videos, the speculation, the "did you see that?" conversations the next day at school, the frame-by-frame trailer analysis, trying to catch every hidden detail. E3 didn't just give you moments, it gave you something to live in for weeks, and sometimes years. It felt like every single company showed up ready to make history. Think about 2013 again, but not just for the console war. This was the year that we saw Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain in full. A trailer so cinematic, so surreal. People weren't even sure what they were looking at first. The Division, with its now infamous downgrade debate similar to Watch Dogs, looked like the future of online shooters. Titanfall showed up and redefined what fast-paced multiplayer could look like. It felt like the entire industry was leaping forward all at once. And then there were the reveals that just came completely out of nowhere. Lights dim and suddenly Portal 2.
And we're really pleased to welcome the stage for the first time.
Stand by for an important announcement from the Aperture Science Emergency Surprise System. Deploying surprise in 3, 2, 1.
A sequel that nobody had expected to a game that had quietly become one of the most beloved titles of all time. That's the thing about E3. It thrived on surprise. Not leaks, not rumors, real, genuine, wait, is this actually happening? Moments. 2014 gave us our first real look at Bloodborne. Dark, atmospheric, mysterious. A spiritual successor to Dark Souls that immediately grabbed a very specific audience and never let it go. Then 2017, Nintendo steps up again. Super Mario Odyssey. And within seconds, you know it's special. The music, the movement, the sheer creativity on display. It wasn't just another Mario game, it felt like a celebration of everything Mario had ever been. And then there were the moments that didn't even need gameplay, just a logo and a name. From Software. George R.R. Martin, Elden Ring. And that was enough, because sometimes E3 didn't need to show you everything. You just needed to spark your imagination. But here's the part people don't talk about enough. E3 also trained us. It taught an entire generation of gamers how to anticipate, how to hope, how to sit through hours of presentations just for a chance at one moment that made it all worth it. Because when it hit, nothing else felt like it. But slowly, that started to change. The cracks didn't show up all at once, they crept in, quietly. At first it was small things, a company skipping a year here, a presentation feeling a little less exciting there. Then, something bigger. Nintendo stopped doing live stage presentations. Instead, they moved to pre-recorded directs, shorter, tighter, cleaner. Awkward pauses and technical issues were a thing of the past, and for a lot of people, it worked. Then Sony followed. By 2019, they didn't show up at all. One of the biggest players in the industry just gone. And that's when it really started to feel different, because E3 always had everyone showing up, all at once, competing, responding, one-upping each other in real time. Without that, it started to feel fragmented. And then came the final blow. E3 is canceled for the first time in its history. Now at first it felt temporary. Of course it'd come back, right? It's E3. But while E3 was gone, something else took its place. Digital showcases, live streams, events that didn't need a convention center. It didn't need massive booths, didn't need millions of dollars poured into a single week. Companies realized something important, something devastating. They didn't need E3 anymore. They could reach their audience directly, on their own time and their own terms. And once that shift happened, there was no going back. E3 even tried to make a return. 2021 digital only, 2022 canceled again. And by 2023 it was over, quietly. There was no big send-off, no final show, just an announcement and then silence. And that's the devastating part. For something that once felt so massive, so loud, so impossible to ignore, E3 didn't go out with a bang, it went out with a whisper. And maybe that's why it hits even harder, because for years, E3 was where memories were made. It was messy, it was chaotic, it was sometimes really disappointing, but when it was good, and it was often good, there was nothing else like it. And even now, whether it's the Summer Games Fest, Nintendo Directs, or random livestream drops, we're still chasing that feeling. That moment when the lights go down and a trailer starts, and just for a second, you have no idea what you're about to see, but you know it might be something really special. That was E3.